Welcome to Echo of Crime YouTube channel. The night was quiet along Interstate 40, the long stretch of desert highway that runs endlessly through New Mexico. At 2:11 a.m., most drivers were asleep in hotels or truck cabs, and the rest stops were nearly empty. But one woman, Emily Carter, a 29-year-old traveling alone from Flagstaff to Amarillo, was still behind the wheel, fighting exhaustion. Her gas tank was half full. Her eyes were heavy, and she had been driving for nearly 8 hours. Just before she reached the mile marker 287 rest area, she noticed something strange in her rear-view mirror, a dark-colored SUV trailing behind her. At first, she thought nothing of it. Highways always had late-night drivers. But as she changed lanes, the SUV changed lanes. When she slowed, it slowed. When she sped up, it followed at a steady distance. For exactly 19 miles, the same headlights clung to her rear bumper. Emily kept glancing at the mirror, telling herself she was imagining it. When she finally pulled into the rest stop, the SUV did too, slowing down just enough to make it obvious. Emily parked under one of the few functioning lights near the restroom building. The SUV parked 2 spaces away. The driver stayed inside. Or at least, that's what Emily thought. Inside the small, quiet restroom, Emily washed her face to wake herself up. She heard soft footsteps outside, slow, spaced out, almost measured. She assumed it was another traveler. But when she walked out of the restroom, the area was empty. No voices. No footsteps. Just desert wind. Still uneasy, she walked back toward her car. Behind her, a security camera, camera 4, mounted high above the restroom walkway, recorded the moment a figure stepped into its blind spot. The camera caught only a sliver of the man's arm, the corner of a dark sleeve, and the shadow stretching across the pavement. Emily didn't see him, but he saw her. Meanwhile, on the other side of the parking lot, camera 2 captured the SUV's passenger door slowly opening. A hooded man stepped out, keeping low, scanning the lot like he was waiting for the right moment. He didn't walk toward Emily directly. He took the long route, moving along the edge of the parking lot where the cameras were weakest. He paused every few steps, checking whether anyone else was around. And for a moment, no one was. As Emily reached her vehicle, she felt something shift in the atmosphere, that primal, instinctive feeling that someone was behind her. She turned sharply, but, again, saw nothing. Only her headlights reflecting off the building. She unlocked her door and sat inside, hands trembling before she even knew why. On camera 7, the old, grainy unit watching the sidewalk, a blurry figure could be seen moving toward her car from behind the restroom building. He stayed just outside the camera's clean angle, slipping into the dark spots between lights. As Emily reached for her seatbelt, the man took 3 silent steps toward her door. That's where the public footage ends. The next 12 minutes, the minutes police never released, captured what happened next. And according to investigators, those 12 minutes were the reason Emily survived. Emily sat inside her car, breathing fast but trying to calm herself. She locked her doors, started the engine, and turned on her headlights. She was ready to pull out of the rest stop, but the SUV parked 2 spaces away didn't move. It sat there, silent, lights off, engine running. On camera 7, the grainy footage captured the hooded man slowly circling around the back of Emily's car, staying low enough to avoid the brightest lights. His movements were calm, controlled, like he had done this before. He stopped near her rear bumper and waited. Emily didn't see him. Not yet. She adjusted her mirrors, wiped her face, and checked her phone. No signal. She tapped it twice. Nothing. At that exact moment, camera 3, mounted above the vending machines, caught something chilling. The SUV's driver stepped out too. He wasn't in a rush. He wasn't panicked. He scanned the lot like he was coordinating something. 2 men. 1 car. 1 isolated woman. Emily finally shifted her gear into reverse. The brake lights glowed red behind her. The hooded man moved first, stepping toward the driver's side door of her car, keeping one hand inside his jacket sleeve as if gripping something. Camera 4 lost sight of him when he moved into a blind zone created by the building's corner. Emily checked over her shoulder. Still nothing. She turned her steering wheel. Still nothing. She took a deep breath, looked forward, and saw a shadow move past her headlights. Her heart jumped. She stopped reversing. Inside the security office, miles away at a different station, the attendant monitoring regional cameras noticed irregular movement on the rest stop's feed. Two figures, both unidentified, both moving in the same direction toward a single car. The attendant radioed the nearest patrol unit. Rest stop at mile 287. Possible suspicious activity. Sending footage now. But the footage that mattered, the 12 minutes that would later be sealed, began with the hooded man reaching Emily's door handle. He tested it. Locked. He looked through the tinted window and stepped back. Emily turned her head toward the motion. Their eyes didn't meet, but she sensed it. That primal, silent realization that someone was standing right outside. She froze. The man stepped closer, lifting his sleeves slightly, not revealing a weapon, but revealing intent. Then everything changed. A diesel engine rumbled in the distance. Headlights swept across the pavement. A massive 18-wheeler pulled into the rest stop. The hooded man immediately ducked behind Emily's car. The SUV's driver stepped back and pretended to look at his phone. The carefully timed approach fell apart instantly. The trucker, Walter Big Walt Harris, a long-haul veteran, parked near the building and stepped out, stretching his back. He noticed Emily's car running. He noticed the SUV. He noticed the silence. And most importantly, he noticed the shadow behind her vehicle. He called out, "Everything all right, miss?" Emily looked up sharply, opening her window a few inches. "Yes, I think so." The hooded man moved again. This time, the trucker saw him clearly. "What's that guy doing behind you?" Walt asked loudly, taking a step forward. The man bolted. The SUV's driver jumped into the vehicle. The hooded man sprinted across the lot, diving into the passenger seat just as the trucker shouted, "Hey, hey." The SUV peeled out with tires screeching, racing back onto I-40. Camera 1 captured the whole escape, the plate half-lit by the street lamp, readable only after frame-by-frame analysis. Emily broke down crying. Walt ran toward her car. "You're safe now," he said. "But you need to call the police." The patrol unit arrived minutes later, but the SUV was already miles down the interstate. Those 12 minutes, the approach, the attempt, the intervention, were later described by investigators as critical evidence in an active multi-state case, and were never released publicly. But they were enough to confirm one terrifying truth. She wasn't imagining the SUV. She was being hunted. The patrol officers who arrived at the mile 287 rest area found Emily still shaking, her hands gripping the steering wheel as if letting go meant the danger would return. The trucker, Walt Harris, stood nearby, giving the officers every detail he could remember: the timing, the shadows, the two men, the SUV's quick escape. Within an hour, investigators began collecting footage from all cameras in and around the rest stop. The images were grainy, the angles terrible, the lighting terrible, but the sequence of events was unmistakable. Two men, one SUV, one planned approach, one last-minute escape. The investigators secured the 12-minute segment from cameras 3, 4, 7, and 1, the footage that would later become sealed, labeled sensitive ongoing investigation material. Emily was transported to a nearby patrol station to give her statement. She described the same SUV from earlier on the highway, the headlights following her every lane change, the feeling of being watched, the rest stop footsteps she heard even though no one appeared in the doorway. Investigators compared her timeline with camera timestamps. Everything matched. The SUV had indeed followed her for 19 miles. The cameras showed it entering the rest stop exactly 32 seconds after her car. The problem now was finding it. Detectives reviewed footage from all nearby highway cameras. Along Interstate 40, most rest stops and intersections had at least one low-resolution camera facing the road. One camera, Camera A12, located half a mile east of the rest stop, captured the SUV speeding back onto the interstate at 2:24 a.m. The plate was blurred. The face of the driver was obscured. But the taillight pattern was clear, a model-specific design. It was a 2014 dark-colored Chevy Tahoe. The investigation expanded fast. State police, highway patrol, federal partners, all searching for one Tahoe. 3 hours later, detectives got a break. A plate reader near Santa Rosa, New Mexico, recorded a Tahoe matching the description. The plate number wasn't fully legible, but the pattern of the numbers matched a specific registration block from Oklahoma. The case shifted. Detectives contacted Oklahoma authorities. They ran the list of similar registered Tahoes. One name stood out: a man wanted in connection with a previous attempted kidnapping from a gas station in Tulsa 3 months earlier. His name was withheld from the public. His known associate, also male, had been arrested in 2016 and released in 2018. 2 men, 2 states, 2 similar incidents. The pattern was undeniable. Detectives believed Emily wasn't a random target. She fit a selection pattern. Heavy checkmark traveling alone. Heavy checkmark late at night. Heavy checkmark isolated rest stop. Heavy checkmark parked under the only working light. Heavy checkmark unfamiliar route. When investigators questioned nearby truckers, one detail repeated. The SUV had been seen lingering at another rest stop earlier that night. They were waiting, watching, choosing. Back at the patrol station, Walt gave his formal statement. His description of the hooded man, height, build, the way he moved, matched surveillance footage from the Tulsa case. He told investigators, "I didn't see everything, but I saw enough. Whatever they were planning, it wasn't good." Emily's statement confirmed the fear investigators already had. The men knew exactly how to move between camera blind spots. They knew how to stay in the dark corners of the lot. They knew the timing of her movements almost perfectly. This was no panic attack, no misunderstanding, no exaggeration. It was an attempted abduction. Investigators filed the final report, noting that if the trucker had arrived even 30 seconds later, the outcome could have been different. The sealed 12 minutes, never released publicly, showed the hooded man's approach, his attempt to test the door, the moment he stepped out of camera view, the SUV driver's signaling, their coordinated escape when the truck arrived. Emily later returned home with family support and police escorts. Her case became one of the internal examples used in training on interstate rest stop safety. But one thing has never been answered. Investigators tracked the SUV's last confirmed sighting near an exit road leading deeper into Oklahoma. After that, there were no more camera hits, no more sightings, no arrest announcements. The SUV simply vanished. And the men inside it, the same men who followed Emily for 19 miles and waited silently in the dark, remain unidentified. But the evidence they left behind, combined with the 12 minutes of sealed footage, told investigators everything they needed to know. They had done this before. They were prepared. And they were going to do it again.